The last of the three primary views we're going to talk about here are sections. So sections are a view type, again with a family type sort of associating them and grouping them. And here you can see I have three sections, but only one is sheeted. And that is this section 3, which is being represented in a floor plan here with a head and a tail. If I go into that view and I select these sections, these work very much like elevations in that there is an annotation component to it and there is the actual crop extents. So rather than an arrow or a line with drag handles, you'll actually see these arrows that represent the extents of the section. So if I select that section and I pull this in, you can see that this section is now being cropped and vice versa. So I can go beyond, or it doesn't necessarily have to correlate with the section head and tail. And if you want to move these elements, you can always click and drag them. And these are sort of simple representations of your section. You can change these elements and how they look in the same way that you would change an elevation, in that you would change the type. And the type is associated with a different head. Again, you can always edit the type and change the callout head and section tab, and we'll go over that in a separate tutorial. So I'm going to change this back here to section A, and you can see it recategorizes with building section A. And look at how to create and crop a new section. So you can go to View, Create, Section, choose what kind of section you want to create, and we are going to use the start point and the end point. I want to generally cut through this part of the building. Now you can see that this new section, section 4, has popped up, and it's given me some pretty distant extents, and it's cropping to the section head and the section tail. You can break the section graphics with a gap, and you can pull this in. And if you move the section head or the section tail and you have another section, it will want to snap to the other sections. So the gap is just a graphical element, keep in mind, so that you don't have a bunch of lines running through your drawing. This is up to you. You can continue the line through your drawing. That's just a graphical standard that varies from project to project. So we're also going to pull this crop region in a little bit and crop it down to the building. Now I can either right click the element and go to view, or I can double click the section 4 and pull the bottom of the crop extents up. And again, when we're in the view, we have some properties associated with it. We can change the view scale, we can change the crop region visibility here, and we can change the far clipping offset. One unique thing about a far clipping is that you can clip without a line. So here you can see we're cutting through some topography, but if I clip with a line, you'll see the back of the topography will start to show. Let's also apply a view template here, architectural section, and you can see that a host of elements have changed. From section to section 2, you can see that this is section 1, and it is visible. It's cutting through the same perpendicular datum to the section we just made. So we can also edit these callouts or these tags in our elevation. You'll notice that similarly to your elevation, your levels are popping up because they're slicing through, again, perpendicularly to the datum that we are creating in this section. And you can actually edit these. You can push and pull where they land, so that if you do sheet them, they can correspond to where you want to display your level heads. So if I select a level, I'll have a couple options at each head here. So I'm going to check this box, and you can see that the plan name and the level name and the elevation pop up. I can uncheck that here, and I can actually click and drag over And because I had this lock button on, all of these levels are locking to each other, so they'll all drag with each other. If I unlock that, you can see I can have one that exists on its own. And here you can see I want to uncheck this marker and check this marker, and now I have all of my levels next to each other on the section. So this is how you can start to clean up your section a little bit. You'll start to notice in some of these views too that your view templates won't get you all of the way. There is still some cleaning up to do. So there's two approaches to this. One is to do it in the model, where you can actually go to modify join, and you can join things like walls to start cleaning up the poche. You can also join floors, floors to walls, like so. Actually, these are cutting each other, so they won't be able to join. And the last way to clean this up is through detail components, which I'll have more of a tutorial on in the future. But if I go to my sheet and you see this section, this is actually what's called a filled region. So it's covering up all of these sort of nasty elements of the section and cleaning it up with a clean white poche. Now, if you decide you want to reverse the section or flip it, you can go to a section, call out, find that element, and you can flip it here. So what this will do is flip it. Just know that if you do have a filled region, it's not going to associate necessarily with the new geometry, so you'll have to redo it, and that's why these sort of annotation elements are one of the later things you'll do in the view creation to just clean it up before you print it or present it. You can also cycle through how these sections are represented with this cycle tab. So if you want this to be the tail instead of the head, or you just want a line, you can cycle through it that way. And it's up to you how you want to compose it for this assignment.